Welcome to another edition of SVSU Red Alert, your weekly update on Saginaw Valley State University athletics. I'm your host, JJ Boehm. The SVSU football team got a big victory over Michigan Tech. They also got some help from other GLIAC teams, and now are once again tied for first place atop the GLIAC North. We'll review all of that with SVSU head football coach Jim Collins. That's coming up on this edition of SVSU Red Alert. Welcome back to SVSU Red Alert. I'm JJ Boehm, joined by SVSU head football coach Jim Collins. And Coach, boy, what a difference a week makes, huh? You know, a week ago you're struggling after a tough loss. Now you come back and not only do you get a big win, you get some help from other teams in the GLIAC, you're back in first place again.
It's good. It's a good feeling, JJ. It's hard to hold back the smile. I thought our team played really well. Bounce back, the way you want to see a team bounce back after a tough loss at Hillsdale. We did a lot of good things. You know, it wasn't just one of those games where we squeaked by and won. We did a lot of good things, didn't turn the ball over, played well in the kicking game, offense and defense on third downs, made big plays. So, you know, overall a good performance from our guys. And really, I thought, as you said, all three phases probably as complete a game as any you have played this year against that caliber of opponent. Absolutely, and the thing that sticks out the most is we didn't have those down drives or those down quarters where we play well for 2 quarters and then play awful for a quarter and have to battle back. We were consistent throughout the 60 minutes in all three phases. And then, as I said, the other thing that you like to see is just the enthusiasm that we came out with. I thought we were a team all week on a mission, really enthusiastic in practice, and we came out with all that energy on Saturday. And it's interesting because that continued even though Michigan Tech on their first drive looked very good. They went down and scored a touchdown, but you didn't get any sense that, you know, the team succumbed to any of this, oh, woe is me, here we go again. Everybody just jumped right back into the fray. Exactly. And you know, that was one of those things, you know, as you said, it could have been devastating to lose to Hillsdale, go 3 and out, get them driving down the field, but as I said, we had a lot of energy from the get-go all week long, and to see us, you know, keep battling there in that early going, and we didn't make it easy on Michigan Tech, although they did go down and score. We got the football right back, went down the field and scored, went up 7-6, and you know, from there I thought we really cruised pretty good. We talked a lot back in week 1 about Jeff Janis's performance. He's had some other big games this season, but he's setting school records with his performance against Michigan Tech. 18 catches for 226 yards and 3 touchdowns. Phenomenal game when you really look at it, and I thought the line did a great job of protecting. Michigan Tech was leading the league in sacks. We did a good job of protecting. The other thing, John was very accurate with his throws. Put it right in there for Jeff. Other guys contributed in the passing game, which I think helped Jeff get freed up in some coverages. And then Jeff had a great performance. He really did. Runs after the catch, made some great catches, over-the-shoulder catch on the 1 touchdown. I just thought Jeff played a complete game. And you mentioned John Jennings. He finishes with, I think, only 6 incompletions, and 3 of those he was just throwing the ball away out of bounds because he was under pressure. Exactly. And you know, to see John, I thought John played well against Hillsdale. We didn't connect. We were out of sync a little bit at times, but I thought he played well enough against Hillsdale. And you know, all those improvements that we work hard in practice to make, I think you saw those come to, you know, completion there on Saturday. I thought the other thing John did was a good job of leading our offense, getting us in the right plays, and playing with confidence. And it's interesting because you knew you weren't going to have Michael Albrecht at wide receiver going into this game, so you did some different things to mix up your personnel. But here's Sean Wren, and the one time he does get his number called, it's on a 3rd down play, and he makes the catch and makes the 1st down. And not an easy catch. It was a high ball. Because the pressure, they were blitzing off that edge there. John had to get the ball up a little bit, and Sean went up, made the catch, and then made a great run after the catch. It wasn't just a catch and a fall down. He did a great job of running after the catch and turned it into a big play, and you know, moved us in a better field position. One of the other things that stood out to me is kind of that play within the game is you always know Michigan Tech's going to throw in some gadget plays. Mm-hmm. And they had the one where they go to the end-around pass,
And Jeff Heath did a good job of maintaining his responsibility and knocked the ball away when they were going for a 50-yard completion.
Exactly. You know, they had 2 plays. They ran a reverse earlier in the game. We did a great job of covering that thing, and they probably gained 2 or 3 yards on it. And then they run the reverse pass, and Heath's, being disciplined, he's got it covered. Actually, we had a chance to intercept that football. That's how good the coverage was. So that was great to see. I think our coaches did a great job of preparing our team for what they were going to see. And, that Michigan Tech offense had been very explosive. We limited the big plays. And really, you look at they had 3 touchdown drives, one at the beginning of the game, one at the end of the first half, and then the one at the end of the game is pretty meaningless at that point.
And I thought it was telling as well that after Michigan Tech cut it to 20-16, you put together 2 10-plus play drives, and both of them finish in touchdowns.
Really good responding as an offensive unit. I thought the other key part of it was controlling the clock, keeping Michigan Tech's offense off the field. Those were long drives, and when you look at the end of the game at the time of possession, it really shows that in that second half, where we got the edge in time of possession were those 2 big drives, and then another drive where we missed the field goal, but we were on the field for a long time. So I thought that controlling of the football in the second half with the 2 long drives was the key to the win.
And you mentioned the late field goal that was missed, but Scott Stanford connect on 2 40-plus yard field goals earlier in the game, which I also thought helped maintain some of that momentum that you had built up, because Michigan Tech's able to make a stop, but you still wind up getting points.
Exactly, JJ. The one it was a 3rd and 9. We gained 6. Thought about going for it on 4th down, but with the wind at Scott's back, I thought we'd have an easy time making that field goal. We did. The other play that stands out is right before the half. We get a big kick. They score. We get a big kickoff return. One play puts us into field goal range, and then we're able to get the field goal and get the momentum back going into the halftime.
And again, it's interesting because that's twice this year that Mark Thrash has been the guy to come up with a late catch at the end of the Findlay game, and then at the end of the half here that you get 30-plus yards in one chunk and get yourself into field goal range.
And the thing about that play was it was really John and Mark kind of scheming that play up themselves. We had seen some things earlier where we thought we could get Mark open for a big play. John recognized it, Mark recognized it, and I think that player feedback means a lot, and those guys did a great job of executing it right before the half.
Has to help, too, when you have those guys now each 3 years playing in this system, because not only do they have that understanding, but you've got that confidence that they know what they're talking about.
Exactly. And that's the whole key to a good offense, is having that chemistry between your quarterbacks and receivers, understanding what the defense is trying to do, and then having the adjustments off of it. And when the players have the ability to do that and see that, I think that really takes you to another level.
And as you said, the other thing, taking away the big plays, I think Michigan Tech had only one play longer than 20 yards the entire game, which, if this were your typical Michigan Tech team, that might not surprise you, but this is a team that had really been airing it out coming into this game.
And that's a great point. Once again, our emphasis going into that game was they were not going to beat us with the big play. We were going to make them earn everything they could get. We were soft at times in terms of giving them cushion, but coming up and making plays. But I thought the times we had to be aggressive, it paid off, because I think our corners at times were coming up there making some big plays on the perimeter. Other times, you're going to give up a 10, 12-yard pass and make them execute, and that's the thing that I thought we did a great job of, is forcing them to execute that 10 and 12-yard pass. And they weren't able to do it at the end of the day, and we were able to force some 3-and-outs, get the ball back for our offense, and take control of the game.
The other thing that stood out, I thought, was the play of the defensive line in terms of not letting Michigan Tech get many good runs between the tackles.
Exactly, and not just the stopping of the run, because I thought we did a great job of that, but putting some pressure on the quarterback. There were times we knocked them down. There were times we got sacked. We had our hands up and made it tough on them. Really an aggressive day by our D-line. I thought they played really well. I thought overall defensively, all 11 guys that were on the field did an exceptional job of not just playing hard and being physical, but running around, limiting big plays, and making tackles.
And it seems as though this was also one of those games where one good thing builds upon itself, and you could just kind of see that going. It was obvious in Jeff Janis's performance at wide receiver. After he made a couple of plays, he looked more confident, but I think the entire team was kind of playing that way as well.
You always say that you can give a great pregame speech or a great halftime speech to fire up your guys, but really what fires up a team is players making big plays during the course of the game. And I thought those big plays that Jeff made got our team excited. The big run that Tim Hogue makes in our second drive of the game got our team excited. The big knockdowns by, the plays defensively that we made. Those are the things that energize your team, get them excited, and you build on them in terms of enthusiasm and just excitement.
Plenty of enthusiasm for SVSU as they get a 34-23 victory over Michigan Tech. Up next, the other UP team as SVSU will travel on the road to Northern Michigan. We'll review that a little bit later on with head coach Jim Collins. But when we come back, we'll be joined by defensive coordinator Todd Stepsis. That's next on SVSU Red Alert.
This week's male Spring Hill Suite Cardinal Athlete of the Week is Jeff Janis. Janis, a junior wide receiver, had a record-breaking day as he helped lead the Cardinals to a 34-23 victory over Michigan Tech. Janis hauled in a GLIAC and school record 18 passes for 235 yards and 3 touchdowns on the afternoon. His 18 catches broke Andrew Beaver's Saginaw Valley mark of 14 that was set in 2010 and a GLIAC mark of 15 that was set in 2004 by Carlton Brewster of Ferris State. Janis went on to break Beaver's single-season reception record as well, passing the old mark of 74 that was also set in 2010. Janis also broke the single-season receiving yard mark of 1,130 yards that was set by Glenn Martinez in 2003. Janis currently stands at 1,289 yards for the season with 2 games to play. Janis now has 85 catches and 13 touchdowns this year. Jeff Janis, your male Spring Hill Suite Cardinal Athlete of the Week.
Welcome back to SVSU Red Alert. I'm JJ Boehm, joined by SVSU defensive coordinator Todd Stepsis. Todd, thanks for joining us.
Love to be here. Thanks.
Obviously, have to be pleased with the total performance against Michigan Tech. While, sometimes you say you gave up 23 points, that's Michigan Tech's lowest point total of the season.
Yeah, that was, it's always never as good as it seems, never as bad as it seems. So, our goal was 14 points or less. So, seeing 23 points was a little disappointing. But like you said, they're a team that put up some points. They put up some yards against everybody. So, for us to step up to the challenge, take away a few of those drives, I think we did have probably one of our better performances we've had all year.
And I thought, again, you kind of look at the 3 different groupings for the defense. I thought defensive line played well, linebackers played well, secondary played well, and you needed all 3.
Yep, and it all started this week. They had a great week of practice. They practiced hard Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We force-fed them a ton of information, and they took that information and made the best decisions possible on Saturday. And like Coach Collins said, they play hard, and they played hard all day.
And it's interesting because that's kind of one of the differences between playing defense and playing offense. Offense, you're calling the plays, and so you kind of know from week to week what you're looking to do. But defense, you've had to prepare for option teams, for power teams, for spread teams. Every week you got to prepare for something a little different.
And that's why I love this league. I mean, it seems like every day, every week is something new. So you have to look at what you're doing and see, okay, what are the rule breakers that this offense is going to, present to you. What are the things that you're not going to be able to do that you did maybe last week? And the guys really do a nice job of adapting and adjusting week to week depending on who we're playing.
And again, it really does change what you're trying to do as a defense because sometimes it's got to be much more disciplined. Other times you've got to be more aggressive.
Exactly. I mean, last week, you had a couple different personnel groupings that we wanted to try to match up their big guys and our big guys. And then you got a week where they don't have any big guys out there. It's all 4 or 5 wide. So you have to figure out what your players do the best, how they feel comfortable, the positions they feel comfortable in, and then let them rip.
And I know you work a lot with the secondary, and that's been a group that I think their play has improved as the season has gone along.
They've gotten considerably better. I think it's more of a confidence thing now. Now they know what they can and can't do. So, when they figure that out, they know how they can play, they know how aggressive they can be, they can look at the tape, see, the talent level of maybe the guy that they're going against, and they now have had those games under their belts where they can, okay, this guy I know I can do this to or that to, or, maybe I can't to a different guy that maybe has more speed or more size.
And again, we talked about it with Coach Collins, but against Michigan Tech, you know they're going to throw in trick plays. They've got a playbook full of them. And this past week, when they tried those, you were able to prevent big plays.
We had a period in practice that was Michigan Tech trick plays. I mean, we designated a period for it. So in practice, we were okay. So, but in the game when the bullets are flying 100 miles an hour, you never know. But the secondary this year, at times has been a little undisciplined, but for the most part, they've, if I'm the deep guy, I'm going to stay deep. I'm going to rely on my buddies to do their job and make the tackle. And if something tricky, sneaks out the back end, I'm going to be there to make a play.
And that's what I thought you saw on that reverse pass, because you could tell, Jeff Heath was coming up to the line a little bit, but didn't get sucked in too far to where he's got the speed. He was able to recover and knock the ball up in the air. John Bryant was coming across, almost could have had the interception.
Yeah, and that's the thing I loved about that play is we almost picked that ball off the tip. And that just means that we've got guys breaking on the ball now. So, we try to get 11 guys, when the ball is thrown, sticking their feet in the ground and running to where it was thrown. And you actually saw some DBs, that ball was thrown by that wide receiver, and they're hustling. Jeff tips it up, and then if you watch it on film, he actually tries to kick it again to try to bat it up, to our guys that are coming late. And, we almost got that one. So I want to see more of that this week.
And now you get to go against a Northern Michigan team who you're going to see more of a running quarterback. So you've got, again, a new wrinkle to try to prepare for.
Oh, yeah, it's a running quarterback, but then they spread you out. So it's tough to get an extra guy down in there to defend that because, now all of a sudden, you've got an extra blocker that normally isn't there. Like in Michigan Tech, that guy's handing off his back to the field. So you don't need to really account for him running the ball. So you can maybe afford to have a guy in coverage that, an extra guy in coverage that against Tech, now you got to have that guy paying attention to the run because now they have an extra back in the backfield.
Always something different, but I'm sure that you'll have the guys ready to play come Saturday. Todd Stepsis, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And when we come back, we'll be rejoined by SVSU head football coach Jim Collins. That's next on SVSU Red Alert.
This week's female Spring Hill Suites Cardinal Athlete of the Week is Erin Dowd. Dowd, a freshman on the SVSU women's tennis team, went 4-1 in the season-ending 2012 GLIAC tournament over the past weekend. The Cardinals dropped a tough 5-4 decision to Hillsdale College on Saturday despite Dowd going 2-0 as she teamed up with Megan Woody to take down their Charger opponents 8-3. Dowd followed it up with a 6-1, 6-0 victory in number 5 singles to end day 2. On the final day of the tournament, Dowd and Woody easily defeated their opponents from Ohio Dominican 8-1. Dowd finished out her week with a closely contested 6-4, 6-3 victory. The Cardinals took 7th place in the GLIAC tournament and finished the fall season with a 10-8 record overall and an 8-6 in the conference.
Welcome back to SVSU Red Alert. I'm JJ Boehm, rejoined by SVSU head football coach Jim Collins and
taking care of Saginaw Valley football, and whatever happens with the other games, don't worry about, don't focus on us being the best we can be every week. Fortunately, we were able to get back into the hunt of things in terms of a North Division championship. So we've got a lot to play for, and we knew that all along, that we'd have a lot to play for as the season progressed. So I think we just got to stay focused on Northern Michigan and playing our best this week.
And this is a Northern Michigan team that seems like it's playing a different brand of football the second half of the season. I know part of that is they've had some new personnel come in there, but ever since they beat Grand Valley, they've gotten some confidence. And then this past Saturday went on the road and got a win at Northwood.
Absolutely, and I think you take it back to the Grand Valley game where they gained a lot of confidence, as you said, JJ. I think those guys started believing more in what they were capable of doing, and that goes a long way. Because they've got good football players. So if you've got good football players that believe in themselves, they're going to play good football. I think the other thing that was impressive is they went on the road and
because for those guys who haven't made the trip, and you usually only make it every other year, you've got that wooden dome, so you've got to pick up the football on some of those high passes or punts and kickoffs and such against a brown backdrop. So it's really challenging, I think, for players who haven't played there before.
Exactly. And luckily we've got a veteran team for the most part. Guys were up there 2 years ago. Jennings was our quarterback. Janis and Thrash played a lot in that game, as did Hoyle and Sesich. So we've got guys with experience in that place. But you're right. It's a little bit tougher. The lights are a little different. The wooden dome is a brown color, so you're going up against that with the lights. So we got to get some work in the pregame and the day before, just kind of feeling things out and getting a good idea of what it's like to catch punts and catch passes in that lighting. At the end of the day, though, it's 100 yards and you got to play football.
And you'll be doing that against a Northern Michigan team that, again, they switched quarterbacks about that same time that they've been going on this run. They brought a senior back in. They had been starting a redshirt freshman, and it seems like that's picked up their offense.
He's a runner, isn't making as many mistakes as they were making before, and that was kind of the problem before. They were playing good football before, but just turning the ball over, and when you do they're playing good football, and we've got to be able to match what they're doing, exceed it, and ourselves get the job done.
How do you maintain that attention and intensity that you had? Because it was evident in practice leading up to the Michigan Tech game. I know you need to try to replicate that because it'll be just as necessary this week against Northern Michigan.
Absolutely, and that's where you hope you've got great leadership from your seniors and your upperclassmen. Your coaches have to be at their best. And the one thing I think we understand as this season's gone on is a good practice week translates into a good game on Saturday. So if our guys believe that, I think we're going to have a good week of practice.
And obviously that will be necessary because a Northern Michigan team that, they're trying to build for next season. They fell behind early, so not a lot to play for, but you've got a first-year head coach up there, and he's trying to build some momentum to head into his second season.
Absolutely. And I've got a lot of respect for their staff and the way they've battled. Would have been easy to throw in the towel with some of the games early on, but they've battled back, played tough. They've got those guys believing. They're doing a great job of coaching. So we've just got focused.
We thank you for joining us, and we hope you have enjoyed this edition of SVSU Red Alert.